All right, so outside is 97A. I didn't have a page number on there, so make sure you have that. On the inside, frequency tables. So we talked about frequency tables and the tally marks and finding a total. Line plot. Give me another name for line plot. Raise your hand if you can tell me what's another name for line plot. Mario. It's a dot plot. What's the difference besides the name? How does it look different? Raise your hand if you can tell me what makes it look different. It's going to be what?
Circles on top of it.
Yeah. Use those dots. That's why I call it a dot plot. So you would use those dots. I like the X's better because I think you can do it faster. But the circles, it takes a little bit longer, but that's okay. So you could see it either way. Sometimes you'll actually see it like with a shape. It could be a heart. It could be a smiley face. It could be something where they put those on to represent each one. Okay, bar graph. Bar graph was last year, right? Okay. So bar graphs, when do we use bar graphs? When we want to what? Yeah, when we want to compare things. So we want to compare the number of people that like football versus basketball. And so we put them into categories so that we can compare them. But they're great for comparison. What do you need to have between the bars on a bar graph? Space. Yeah, there's going to be space between them because they're not connected. They don't have anything in common there. And so there has that space between them. So that's the difference. At the top of the next one is a histogram. What does that look like? It looks similar to what? It looks similar to a bar graph. What's the difference? They're together. They're touching. So they have something called intervals. So on the bottom, those are intervals. What's an interval? Can you see it? I know it's really small. But what does it show a little bit different at the bottom? It's like, and I can't read it, and I'm sorry, it's too small, but like 3 to 10, and then 11 to 20, and then, so they have intervals of numbers. It's not just for one number like we did yesterday on the dot plot. It's for intervals, so it can be any of those numbers inside. So don't forget, you must have space. Must have no space. Okay, they have to touch. So there's no space. And that's because there's nothing left out. Everything's going to be included. All right, what's special about a line graph? When do we want to use a line graph? Would that have been good yesterday when we did the memory game? Oh, so is that what we would want to use yesterday? No, because that was the quantities, and so the dot plot was good for that. So it shows change over time, like with temperature, like with the stock market, like with your bank account, like with your grades. Those are things that can show changes over time. Finally, we have a circle graph. Okay, have you worked with circle graphs before? Have you read them and kind of figured out which one you have the most of, the least of? We're going to do the same thing. This is going to be, when we get to this, talking about parts of a whole. When did we talk about parts and wholes? What unit were we talking about parts to wholes and even those relationship, part to part, part to whole to whole? What unit? Ratios. This is going to tie into ratios. There's something else really special that it's based on, and that's being the whole amount with percents. Okay, so if we're talking about the whole amount, that whole circle graph has to add up to what? What's the whole amount if I'm talking about a percent? So what percent is the magic numbers? That's the whole amount. 100%. Adds up to 100%. Okay, so let's see if we can figure out some of these. And I know they're not very clear, but do you see there's a line right here? What fraction of the graph is this part? At 50%, which would be what fraction? Half. Good. Do you see another part that we could identify by the way it's cut? Anybody see another part? So I've got over here 3 parts. Which one? Which one's 25%? How about top, middle, or bottom? Bottom. This is 25%. And I think that's great that you saw that because I saw the fraction first. What fraction of the circle is that? 1/4. Okay? All right, so if this is 50% and this is 25%, what does this have to equal? Has to be 25%. But I have 2 pieces in there. What's this piece? Can you see it? It's not 5, it's 15%. So how would I figure out that one? How do you know? I have 25, take away what? 15 would equal 10%. Good. So when we get to the circle graphs, that's kind of what we're going to talk about, the fractions and what it equals as our percentages. Okay? So just a quick review of that. We're going to fold that and have that to the side and look at histograms. Okay? Histograms. A histogram is a type of graph that is used displaying bars, which is like a bar graph. Okay, they are very similar, but they always display numerical data in equal groups or bins. Well, we're not going to use the word bins. What word are we going to use instead that I wrote on my paper for bonus points? If I have that range of that number, it's called a what? Raise your hand if you remember for bonus points. Sienna? Say again? That's, no, it's not it. That's okay. It was called something, and I said, can anybody see at the bottom? There's that little dash in there. And I'll give you a hint. It starts with an I. It's what? Virginia? Intervals. So we're going to use intervals, and that's going to be on the bottom. You trying to eat lunch with me more? All you had to do was ask. Did you want to eat lunch with me more? Then you better sit up. Are you writing this down? Oh. You don't have to sleep in here. You just ask me. You can eat with me more. All right, so notice this is here's an example. A math tutor recorded his student scores out of 20 on a test. All right, so how many students, notice at the bottom, this is our scores, and these are the number of students. So how many students scored 0 to 4? Any? How do you know? It's blank. There's nothing there. Okay, and notice we don't have anything. How many scored 5 to 9? Ah, how do you know that? It has one that goes up, and we have just that one right here. So there it is. How many scored 10 to 14? 4. Notice it goes up to the 4 and comes over, and there should be 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Finally, for the last one, how many scored 15 to 19? 5, and that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice that the height of each bar on the histogram matches the number of values in each interval or bin. For example, 4 students scored 10 to 14 in the 10 to 14 range on the quiz. We're going to make our own histograms. First one. Maria recorded the ages of the children she babysits. Here's the list. Okay. We have the intervals written at the bottom. So it may be helpful to put a little mark in between them because the bars need to be of equal size. And do we need any space? Is there any space between them? The only time you're going to have space between them is if you have an interval that has what number for its frequency? 0. If you don't have anything, you can't put a bar in that spot, so it could be a 0, kind of like this. So if that was in between, there would be space between them. All right, so I need to know how many children have an age of 0 to 2? 2. 1, 2. I'm going to underline them to help and make sure that I don't leave any out. So I'm going to take this line that I drew. I'm going to go up to the line 2. And then I'm going to shade both of those bars to show that I have 2. Questions on that? My next interval is 3 to 5. So look at your list. How many in the list are either 3, 4, or 5? How many? 4. Oh, let's look. 2, 3, 4. Go up to here. This one has to go up too because that bar has to go to the top, and I'm going to shade all of that in down to the bottom. Okay. How about 6 to 8? How many? Let's see. 6. It could be 6, 7, or 8. 1, 2. I got 3. So up to 3. Come down. Shade that in. And the last one. How many are 9 to 11 or 9, 10, or 11? How many?
1.
Just 1. So there's that 1. I go up the 1 and shade that in. Questions? My histogram is complete. What's the difference between a bar graph and a histogram? I need 2 differences. What are they? Give me 1 for bonus points. What's 1 difference between a bar graph and histogram? Oh, I like people using the resources because I gave you a booklet. What, say again? Bar graph has space. That's one thing. I need one more thing. Tell me some other difference between them. Look at the bar graph. Look at our histogram. What's the difference between the bar graph and histogram? Sienna.
They don't have like X's or like
Now here's our histogram. This is our histogram. You're thinking of a dot plot, right? And that's okay. This is what we're thinking about. We're comparing this to the bar graph that you did in 5th grade. Alyssa. Bring it up here. Yes. They have intervals. So they have intervals which are like ranges for each one. Okay? So those are some differences that we have. Are those the only differences? Probably not. At the bottom, bar graphs can have words. Like it's talking about football, basketball, baseball, different sports. Histograms are always going to have number intervals at the bottom. All right, for the next one, Zach is training for a half marathon. He records the number of miles he runs each time he trains. Go ahead and look. Make sure you put your little marks. You want 0, 1, 2, 3. The next one is 4 to 7. The next one is 8 to 11. And the last one is 12 to 15. Remember, it's anything in between. So count at the top. I would start looking for 0, 1, 2, or 3. I would underline them to help count them. Deontay, help me out. How many am I going to do for 0 to 3? What numbers am I looking for? 0, 1, 2, or 3. So look at this list. Do you see any of those numbers in our list? Okay. Well, underline them and count them. How many do you see that are 0, 1, 2, or 3? We're looking for 0, 1, 2, or 3. Do you see any in that list? Which one? This one right here. Do you see any others? So how many did I underline? Okay, so make sure for the first interval, 0 to 3, you're going to go up to what number? A 1. How about 4 to 7? Just 1? I think you're right. Just 1. So notice, not a big difference between them. All right, how about 8 to 11?
6.
Oh my goodness. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 goes way up. All the way to the top. How about 12 to 15? Okay, and so it should be what we have left. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. Questions? All right, last one. You have a basketball coach recorded the number of shots each player made during practice. So notice the number of shots are at the bottom because he had to go up to, or wanted to go up to 24, and then he has up to 6 players. So you are going to make a histogram for that. We will go over it in 1 minute. Okay. If you're only copying, you're not helping yourself to understand. So, a couple of things. Make sure your bars are touching. Your bars have to touch. You can't have any space between the bars. So, you're going to have to make them wider so that there is no space between them. Okay? So, looking at this next one. How many were 0 to 4?
1.
Just this one right here. So, I'm going to go up to 1. All right. How many were 5 to 9? 1, 3. So I'm going to go up to 3. This one goes up. Color all that in. All right. How many are 10 to 14? 3. 1, 2, 3. How many are 15 to 19? That number's pretty popular, isn't it? So 15 to 19. 1, 2, 3. Then how many? Okay, so those are pretty common. They all made about the same shots. Last one we had 4, so it's going to go up to 4. And coloring that in. Probably be better if we had like different color pencils so that we could see each one a little bit easier, or make the lines darker in between. Question. All right, so we're going to glue those 2 pages in. You're going to take out your planner so that I can get your homework to you. We need to look at it because there's some that may look a little bit more challenging than what we had in our practice. So get those glued in, pages 97A, 97B, and take out your planner so I can give you your homework. Take your planners out so I can get homework to you. It's front and back. Write it down at the beginning of class, I hope.